My name is Michael Della Jacopo. I'm the president of the Life You Can Save Adelaide. Tonight we've got the Animal Rights and Australian Politics panel event. So we've got representatives from the Animal Justice Party, from the Greens Party, and we have James Aspey, who's a vegan activist who's come down from the Gold Coast to be here tonight. So we're going to hear from our guest speakers soon. I just wanted to give a quick introduction to the Life You Can Save and what we do. So the Life You Can Save is part of the global effective altruism movement, which is all about trying to find the most effective ways of making the world a better place. So it's about combining science, rationality with empathy and charity. So some examples of how people might do this is they might look at different charities and try and work out which ones are the most effective, because unfortunately some charities just are more effective at making the world a better place than others. Another way is to maybe think about career choice and how your career could impact people's lives, and also working on different projects. So what the Life You Can Save does is we will look at different charities and careers and projects to try and work out which ones are the most effective for helping people. And then we put on events like these to share information about the most effective ways to help people. So there are three main areas that effective altruists tend to focus on, and they are global poverty and health, animal-related issues. So the reason why this ends up being such an impactful thing to do is the average human throughout their lifetime will eat 7,000 animals. And so by adopting a vegan lifestyle, you can save 7,000 animals, most of which would have a significant amount of suffering and exploitation as part of their life. And so you can take that one step further as well, and once you've adopted a vegan lifestyle, you can encourage other people to do so at relatively little time investment and cost investment, and so you can actually make a pretty big impact on the lives of animals. And the last area that effective altruists focus on is what we call existential risk. So that includes events that are very unlikely to occur, but if they did occur, they'd have quite significant consequences. So for example, events like asteroid impacts, global thermonuclear warfare, bioterrorism, global health pandemics. These are all things that are very unlikely to occur and will probably never occur in our lifetime, but if they did, they'd have such far-reaching consequences that it's worth thinking a little bit about how to reduce the probability of these events happening and the impact. So tonight, as I've said, we've got James Aspey, who's a vegan and animal rights activist who's come down from the Gold Coast to be here tonight. James took a one-year vow of silence for the voiceless animals and cycled, I said around Australia all day, but I think it was from Darwin to Sydney, which is still pretty impressive. So he took a one-year vow of silence for the voiceless animals, and he's founded the Voices 365 organisation. And James is going to talk to us a little bit tonight about his work, his vegan transformation story, and some of the reasons why someone would adopt a vegan lifestyle. So can we please make James very welcome.
Having me here, and this is something that I really take very seriously, the responsibility of being able to speak about animals, because it's something that I realise a lot of people don't fully understand about, and I know that because I used to be one of those people only a few years ago. I didn't think that animals mattered at all. I didn't understand who they were, what they were capable of, and why their lives and their suffering mattered. So it's something that I have learned a lot about over the last few years, going from someone who didn't care about animals to someone who was so passionate they took a one-year vow of silence to raise awareness for them and to promote peace over violence. Their lives do matter, and I want to explain to you what happened in my life and what I learned, in the hopes that maybe you'll learn something that you don't know, just like I did. And everything happened for me started about 12 years ago when I was diagnosed with leukemia and lymphoma. I was very sick, as you can imagine. I put on about 25 kilos so fast that my stretch marks actually ripped and bled. I lost all my hair, I got pneumonia, all the usual stuff that happens when you get cancer. And this was really the first time that I'd ever suffered. I'd never really suffered in my life before. A couple of sprained ankles, skateboarding, and things like that. Wasn't that bad. Cancer was quite bad, and I learned in that time that suffering is the worst thing that we can go through. It's the worst thing that can happen to someone. And I was very lucky that I met a man who was a personal trainer, and he helped me lose that 25 kilos. But what he'd also done was helped me out of my suffering. I went from someone who couldn't even stand how I looked in the mirror and just feeling so poor in health to feeling good and happy and healthy again. He helped me out of my suffering, and it was so inspiring for me that I decided I wanted to do the same thing. So I became a personal trainer too, very passionate about helping others improve their health, reduce their sickness, that kind of thing. And I did that for the next 8 years, you know, telling everyone that you've got to eat a lot of meat, like a slab of meat on your plate, like a lot of personal trainers still do. I was ignorant, I didn't understand. And then I was working on a cruise ship and I met a very wise man, very wise Indian man, who kind of looked like the Buddha and he talked like the Buddha, and he was just this deep philosophical thinker. And when he spoke, I listened and I was very intrigued by what this man had to say. And then on the last day of his 2-week cruise, you know, after we spoke every single day, he said something that changed my life. He dropped the bomb on me and he said, eating animals is bad karma. It's not something I really thought about before, you know, about is this going to be bad for me? I wasn't even sure if I was a big believer in karma. But it did get me thinking, hang on a second, this involves me now. This involves how my quality of life, you know, this could be bad for me. And that's why I started to care. Because before that, I didn't believe there was any point in caring about animals. I didn't think that they had the capacity to care about their own life. So why would I care about their life if they can't even? That's just what I thought of them. And this man said eating animals is bad karma, and I went to my go-to line, which my personal training mentor had said to me when I first started 8 years prior. He said, there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. And I said, great news, I don't want to be one, I don't want to bother looking into it, that's fantastic. But he was so wrong, and I didn't realize that. So when I said to this Indian man, there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian, he said, I've been vegetarian for 20 years. I said, what? You should be dead, man. This is amazing. So I thought, all right, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I'll look into it. And I started looking into it, and I said to this man, I said, I'm going to go vegetarian for 7 days, just as a pure experiment, see how I feel. Is this going to be better for me? Will I feel better? 3 days in, I felt so much better. And you got to remember, I was working on a cruise ship. On a cruise ship, it's buffet meals, every meal. So I'm loading my plate up with animal products, with the flesh of animals, with eggs, with dairy. No wonder in 3 days I was feeling so much better from getting that out of my body. I was feeling more energy, I was pushing out more in the gym, I felt like I needed to sleep less, I felt happier, I just felt good. And this was so inspiring for me. I thought, what's going on? Why do I feel good? I thought I'd barely be able to get out of bed in the morning. And no protein, no iron, like how am I functioning? I was shocked. So I started looking into the health benefits. Can this be done healthily? Can I sustain this? Because if I can continue feeling this good, that's something I'm interested in doing. And I also realized during that time, the food's actually good. I'm eating curries, I'm having smoothies, I'm having all kinds of different foods that are actually really good. So I started looking into the health benefits. I learned not only can you be healthy without consuming any animal products, but you're likely to be far healthier, reducing your chances of heart disease, cancers, diabetes, osteoporosis, obesity, so many illnesses, some of the illnesses that are killing the most people in the Western world. And I was shocked. How did I not know about this as a health professional for the last 8 years? So I was so intrigued and I just wanted to learn more and more and more, and that's what I did. And I started telling everyone, go vegetarian, it's so much better for your health. You can cure all these illnesses. During my research, I realized that most people aren't vegetarian for their health. Most people are vegetarian for the animals. And I didn't understand this. Why? Who cares? Like, they don't matter. I didn't get it. But I thought, all right, well, what's going on? Let's find out. I'm kind of curious. So I started watching footage of what happens to animals and how they're treated before they become that neatly wrapped package on the supermarket shelf. And I wasn't an animal lover, obviously, I've made clear. But I know cruelty when I see it. I know violence and suffering when I see it. I know oppression when I see it. And I was seeing animals get their tails cut off, get their teeth cut out, get chunks pulled out of their ear, get castrated without pain relief, having babies taken from their mothers, babies being slaughtered, other animals being slaughtered, you know, throat slit, gas chambers, just horrific violence and killing. And I thought, hang on, I'm not an animal lover, but I'm not okay with this. And I thought this is something before I thought this was something I had to contribute to. You know, I wasn't going to feel guilty about it because I'm a human, I need to eat animals to be healthy. But seeing it again with a perspective and knowing that we can be even healthier without consuming animal products led me to the question, if we don't need to kill and eat animals to survive and thrive, what are we doing this for? Surely there's a good reason, right? Because everyone hates animal cruelty. 99% of people hate animal cruelty. And most people say they love animals. So there must be some reason I haven't thought of as to why this is necessary and why we inflict this violence against the most vulnerable and innocent beings on this planet. I look into it, I realize the best justifications we've got are because they taste good, because it's what we've always done, you know, it's tradition, it's a cultural thing, and it's convenient. You can get animal products anywhere. This is what we've been brought up, told, you know, kill some animals, kill pigs, cows, chickens, fish, but love dogs, protect whales, don't hurt the dolphins. Why? What's the difference here? And I couldn't think of one, and so I started getting really passionate, not just for the health side of things, but for the animal side of things. I felt like no one was really talking about this that I knew about. I got off the cruise ship and I was still vegetarian. I did a 10-day silent meditation after that, where I had the idea to do a 1-year vow of silence to raise awareness for animals. I thought it'd be a good thing. They're voiceless, I'll be voiceless, you know, that kind of works. But I thought, is this a good enough reason? Are animals a good enough reason to take a 1-year vow of silence? Like, it was a big call. I realized I need to look more into this. So I started doing more research. I realized it's not just about the health benefits. Even though right now we have an epidemic of illness and disease, and a huge amount of it could be prevented if we weren't consuming animal products. So there's so much potential for so much widespread health and well-being that we're not taking advantage of. That's huge for human side of things. It's also the environment that I never realized about. Animal agriculture is a leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, habitat loss, ocean dead zones, greenhouse gas emissions. It's literally destroying this planet. They estimate by the year 2048 that we know fish left in the ocean. Just one example of many ways that we're destroying this planet. We only have one home, something we need to look after for our future generations, and animal agriculture is completely unsustainable. And then I kept coming back to the animal side of things. It's happening. What we're doing to animals, the war we have waged upon other species, we do it to 1.5 trillion innocent living beings who feel pain and suffer just like us, who have relationships and communicate with each other just like us. They have a heart, they have a brain, they have a rich emotional life. They don't want to die. And we've waged a war upon them. Why? Because we want to put cow's milk on our cereal, because we want to have a specific flavour on our sandwich. You know, is that it? So much unnecessary violence, cruelty and suffering. So I decided, okay, I'm doing this vow of silence for the animals. And I'd love to tell you all about it, I don't have that much time here. It's a long story. But basically what I learned is that, you know, they are someone's. I spent time with animals that year. They are individuals. Their individual lives matter, if to no one else, to them. And that reason alone is a good enough reason to respect them and to give them the basic right to be left alone, to live their life however they choose. Tonight, with the Greens and the Animal Justice Party, I could be wrong, but I've got a feeling that there's going to be a big focus on the way that animals are treated before they're slaughtered. And that conversation is probably going to happen. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling. And I just want to put out there that it's not about how nicely we treat them before we slit their throats. You know, obviously less cruelty is better, but there's no justification for any of this exploitation, any of this animal use at all. And I hope that that's the direction that the conversation steers, if not tonight, then very soon, because no animal exploitation is justified.
You can check out our website at eadelaide.org or find us on Facebook at Life You Can Save Adelaide. you can take a look at the list of effective poverty charities at thelifeyoucansave.org, or you can support animal charity evaluators who do research into the most effective ways to help animals, fight for animal rights and those kind of things. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can either support them financially. We can actually do an internship with animal charity evaluators and undertake a research project. So you can do this on a by-distance and a part-time basis. So if you want to, if you're interested in doing research projects and you want to take the next step and do something a bit extra, that's something you can think about doing. You can just go to their website and find more details there. You could read an effective altruism book like Doing Good Better by William McCaskill. That talks about some of the more counterintuitive everyday ways that you can change your behaviour just a little bit in order to make the world a much better place more effectively. Or you could make a giving pledge, which is something that our members do. We pledge to give 1% of our income to highly effective charities, and you can make that pledge either for a year or you can make that pledge for the rest of your working career, as some of us have done. And I think this is really important because when you find the best charities, there are some that are so effective that even a small contribution can make such a big difference. For example, the Against Malaria Foundation, a $4,000 contribution will prevent 300 cases of malaria and save one person's life. Can you imagine running into a burning building and pulling out a small child and saving that child's life? And imagine how good you'd feel. And you'd think it was worth the risk. It was worth maybe a little a risk to discomfort in my own life. But you can do that with $4,000, and maybe you do that several times a year, and you can get that feeling, and it's amazing. So I definitely encourage you to do that. You can take up the pledge for 1% for a year, and see how you go. If you don't like it after a few weeks, no one's going to come after you and say you have to keep going. But if you find that it's making your life much more fulfilling and satisfying, then I definitely encourage you to keep going. We've got the Effective Altruism Global X Conference coming up in Melbourne from July 22 to 24. A bunch of the Adelaide members are heading down for that, and one of our members are actually giving a talk. So that's going to be a number of presentations around effective charities, projects people are doing, research people are doing within the community, and it's just a great place to network with people who want to make the world a better place. And I'll just quickly plug the Effective Altruism University of Adelaide chapter are having an event on July 30 called Does Australia Care About Poverty? We've got a number of speakers at the top there. We've got a few political members and some lecturers, and Paul Grillo, who's the campaign for Australian Aid.
Hello, my Lucitanians. Tonight I went to a conference with the Animal Justice Party talking about animal rights for Adelaide, and it was pretty exciting actually because it's scary and it's exciting because there's a lot of things happening in the world today where, you know, the environment's being destroyed, but there's a lot of other things happening where a lot of people are waking up to it, and it's given me a really good indication of where things are going, and they're not going backwards. So that was really important for me to learn tonight. Also, I learned that the RSPCA isn't a political party, and that was really interesting. It's just a charity. Trying to make animals recognised as being individuals, so as being sentient beings, which is what they are, and that's what they're trying to work towards with these political parties, these conferences and that sort of things, to raise awareness. So yeah, I learned a lot, and thanks Michael for inviting me, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and subscribe if you want to see more. Making my channel a bit more meaningful starting this year. So yes, thanks everyone for watching. Bye.